Over the course of the year, I really, gained in this skill. Well, that year, after a year, we put up a show in the spot called Tea. And what we did was we had a little teapot and a little, saucer and teacup. And I came out and playing a song, an original song of mine. And then, basically just said, and maybe I should get my wig and kind of do a little version of this, but before I do, why don't I show you, just to give you some perspective, my most recent sort of press kit, electronic press kit sort of promo that I've been put together for the show last year. If you click on this, or if you go up to one man show up there, click. Nope. Like right up here, it says one man show. Yeah. And then it'll show the little video.
Please welcome Dave J. Rusty.
This is a fantastic show. I'm so glad I came to see this. I need somebody help.
This is awesome. Totally different. Very entertaining. He was fielding questions all over the place and had a good answer and a good dialogue.
Great job. Say the name of the Beatle and ask your question.
Which Beatle do you think will live the longest?
Me. Next question. Dave and John, I was right. Nose to nose.
The main thing was peace and love. Because I was in love with Ringo's wife.
Feeling quite low, 'cause I did something I shouldn't have done. Well, fortunately, I didn't, and it went to the charts,
Well, I like you all. I couldn't see this.
I like all of them. So funny.
The voices, the mannerisms, the body language, and he just switches between them effortlessly.
we couldn't even hear ourselves, And Ringo couldn't even play in time with us.
Well, that's because, like yourself, I couldn't hear at any time. Hang on, that's the other reason.
She was 17, you know what I mean.
Being at the age of consent in England at that time was 16. He said she was just 17. You know what I mean.
Now, basically, how it got from T to that version of the show went through a lot of changes. I was very fortunate that after I did T that first time, basically for my fellow students and friends and family that came to see it, we realized things were working, things weren't working, and so we kind of tweaked them. A couple years later, I got it into the New York International Fringe Festival in 2008. And that really changed it significantly because, number one, they brought up all sorts of issues like, you got to promote it, so you had to think about how to promote it. And I had, they said, well, you can't really, in the show, do you have permission to use the Beatles songs? And at that point, I wasn't doing Beatles songs in the show, for the most part. If somebody asked a question, because I guess as it kind of showed there, but I may not have pointed out before that, I would come out, and the whole thing was question and answer, and me incorporating some of my own tunes and saying, "Oh, that's one we haven't recorded yet," or I just wrote it, haha, So basically, so I didn't have permission to use the Beatles songs, and I had to do some what's called due diligence, some research. And I spoke with a lawyer who said, "Well, look, if it's just for the Fringe Festival, it's something like 5 shows or 8 shows or something, and it's kind of under the radar, and technically you should have permission." And then I looked further into it, and I found out that it costs about $1 million a song, literally, to use the Beatles songs. So I thought, that's kind of competitive. So basically, I was to go ahead and doing the show throughout the festival, and as it pointed out somewhere in there that I was fortunate enough to win like an outstanding solo show honor, and the show was extended along with 12 or 13 other shows. And so over the course of the next year, I did the show in this theater off Broadway in Soho, and really developed it. Really had like small, intimate audiences, and I continued to do the show as I mainly started doing it. But people were asking for songs more and more for the Beatles, and people were coming to the show expecting Beatles songs, and I was like, I know I really shouldn't, but I broke the law. I'm not encouraging it, but I'm telling you the truth. And as I then started to get gigs around New York City, I played a bunch of places, including B.B. King's Blues, which was a great experience because that was a real big audience. Although it became really tough because where it had been an intimate show, now at B.B. King's I was playing like 200 people. And somebody would raise their hand over here to ask a question, and they couldn't hear the question. But to be spontaneous, usually I would just shoot off an answer, but now I had to repeat the question. Plus I had a microphone to contend with. I got that headset mic, those wireless mics, and that changed the show considerably too. And again, they were asking for songs, and they were coming to the show expecting songs. So actually I started to learn. I didn't want to because I wanted to keep it, frankly, a vehicle that showcased more of my writing and my sort of creative strengths, but people were coming expecting these Beatle things, so it was a dilemma. But I said, okay, I've got to relent and give them what they want, I guess, to be able to continue doing this. So I worked in a lot of Beatles songs, and I actually, over the course of last summer, completely changed the show, where, God bless you, where I guess I can give you a kind of because I focus grouped it. I got a bunch of college students together, because I wanted to play the college market. It pays very well, and you can travel around colleges all over the country, and even in Canada and everywhere. And I got a booker who got me absolutely nothing. Over 8 months, I worked with this guy, and he was surprised when I left him, but I explained to him, just so you know, he didn't tell me what he was doing. He didn't, ever update me. He just kept saying, "Don't worry, we're going to get this going. It's like a train leaving the station." And maybe that's true, just to consider that might have merit. But after 8 months not leaving the station, I said, "I'm leaving the station without you." I still haven't played the college market, but part of that is this legal reason. So I changed the show significantly over that summer from focus grouping the show as I had been doing it over last summer for some college students, and they said, "Look, I know who the Beatles are, but I don't know the individual Beatles. So when you're switching between these 4 guys so quick," I'm like, "Wait, is that John again? Is that who was that?" And it occurred to me like, "Oh, sure, I know them very well, but not everybody does. In fact, most people just know, oh, I know who the Beatles are, and that's the extent of it." So as I said, I reworked it. I'll do it in just a minute. And then I started working in more of the songs, just on the legal issue. I haven't been doing the show in the last 10 months because I kind of hit a wall where I said, all right, well, the lawyers that I spoke to most recently said, you shouldn't do it because if the Beatles organizations want to come after you and sue you, they can. I said, I don't really have much of anything anyway. What are they going to take from me? A wig? He said, no, you can come after you for future earnings. So let's say you have a hit song in 2 years and you start making some money from it. Then they can sue you because there's like a 5-year statute of limitations from which they come after you. I thought, I don't know if I should do that. Fortunately, because I'd been playing Beatle festivals at this point and became friendly even with a guy named Sid Bernstein, who is a 92-year-old guy now, who in the 60s was responsible for bringing the Beatles to America. He was aware of the huge success they had in England and took a gamble, booked them in Carnegie Hall, which was in February of 1964. It's the first time they came to America. They're best known for first coming to America to play on the Ed Sullivan Show, but Ed Sullivan only discovered them after this guy, Sid Bernstein. So through somebody who ran one of these festivals, he said he's good friends with Sid. He said, I've been talking to show up to Sid. He'd like to talk to you. Long story short, I met with Sid, became friendly with him. Turns out he lives 25 blocks from where I do, so walked over to his apartment. And so I asked each of these guys, the guys who run the festival, Sid Bernstein, I said, the lawyers are saying this. I have trepidation about it, but I have small potatoes, so are they going to come after me? I mean, a lot of people do Beatle tribute acts. these bands that pretend to be the Beatles and everything. So the lawyers, oh, by the way, the lawyers had said the Beatle tribute acts are different. My thing is considered a theatrical piece because